Do you believe you know everything about the end times? Prepare to challenge your beliefs. In this video, we will reveal truths that many prefer to ignore. What you will discover here goes beyond common faith, presenting a perspective capable of shaking even the most skeptical. Before the coming of Christ, these 4 signs will happen, and I ask you, are they already happening, or have they already happened? What you learn could transform your worldview in a matter of seconds. Stay with us and unravel this mystery. The book I mention is unique and different from any other history book available in public libraries. The story of the Bible begins with the creation of the earth and ends with the end of the world, encompassing a series of events unprecedented in historical literature. This is partly due to the fact that no one was present at the beginning to witness and document these events, making it impossible to write authoritatively about the beginning of our world. However, we are the only ones who know how everything will end. This is singular. The Lord did not reveal the future to his followers just to satisfy their curiosity, but to prepare them for what is to come. He wanted them not to be surprised by his arrival and not to make wrong interpretations. We should be grateful to Jesus for sharing with us what the future holds. Many people ask if we are living in the end times. The Bible speaks about the last days, and these days have been unfolding over the past 2,000 years. It is crucial to understand this perspective to be prepared for what is to come. The last day began at Pentecost, marking the fulfillment of the first prophecy of the last days. Since then, every Christian generation has lived in anticipation of the Lord's return. The Bible is a book full of predictions, containing 735 prophecies distributed across a quarter of its chapters. Among these prophecies, 596 have already been literally fulfilled according to the scriptures. This means that 81% of biblical prophecies have already been realized. Given this track record of accuracy, it is not hard to believe that the remaining 19% will also come to pass. Most of the prophecies that are yet to occur pertain to the return of Jesus and subsequent events. How many of these predictions still need to be fulfilled before the return of Jesus? The answer is about 20, and we are vigilant, closely observing the unfolding of these events. Jesus instructed us to watch and pray, but what should we be observing? We cannot simply stand around looking at the clouds, waiting for his appearance. We must be attentive to world events and recognize the signs he has given us to prepare. These signs are the biblical prophecies. In Matthew chapter 24, the disciples asked Jesus about the signs of his return. In response, Jesus provided a clear and direct description for which we can thank God for his clarity. In the book of Revelation, he offers a more detailed and comprehensive answer. However, in Matthew, he summarizes the signs that will precede his coming. The disciples approached Jesus privately while he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, as described in Matthew 24:3-6. They asked, "Tell us, when will these things happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming, 'I am the Messiah,' and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." Thus, Jesus alerts us to be vigilant and prepared, recognizing the prophetic signs he has given us. Our faith and perseverance will help us face the challenges to come, ensuring we are not caught off guard by his arrival. And this good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the world, reaching all nations, and then the end will come. The day will come when you will see what the prophet Daniel spoke about, the sacrilegious object that causes desolation, set up in the holy place. Pay attention. At that time, those in Judea should flee to the mountains. A person on the roof should not go down to take anything out of the house, and a person in the field should not go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. So if anyone tells you, "There he is out in the wilderness," do not go out, or "Here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time, so if anyone tells you, "There he is, out in the wilderness," do not go out, or "Here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Learn the lesson from the fig tree. When its branches become tender and its leaves begin to sprout, you know that summer is near. In the same way, when you see all these things happening, know that his return is very near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. However, no one knows the day or the hour when these things will happen, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be prepared and stay alert, for the end will come unexpectedly, like a thief in the night. Remain steadfast in faith and vigilant, recognizing the signs of the times and staying true to the teachings of the Lord. Now, in this passage, he gave us 4 distinct signs of his coming. So, what exactly are these 4 signs he mentioned? The first sign is clearly the disasters in the world in their various forms, such as wars, famines, and earthquakes. These events are indeed occurring, but have been happening for over 2,000 years. However, the intensification of these events suggests that we are living through this first sign. There are already wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, and famines. Jesus repeatedly warns us not to be deceived, especially as we approach the end. The danger of deception is real, both inside and outside the church. He specifically refers to false Christs and false messiahs, people who take advantage of the chaos of natural disasters to present themselves as saviors. There are well-known examples of individuals who pretend to be saviors and lead people to desert places, resulting in tragedies. However, there are many false Christs, false saviors, who claim to be the promised liberators of all our problems. The more problems there are, the more false liberators will appear. But, as Jesus advises us, we should not be alarmed or worried when we hear about a new war, a new tragedy, or a new famine arising. He said something surprising. These are painful events, but they are not death throes, they are birth pains. So, when you read about disasters in the media, remember that they are the pains indicating that something new is about to be born. This should completely change our attitude. We know where the world is headed. We should not be alarmed or distressed, nor as worried as the world will be about these things. The disasters in the world are the birth pains of a new world that is about to be born. Therefore, we are different. We have sympathy for those suffering from disasters and express this with hope, helping them. But in our hearts, we are not alarmed. We are hopeful, looking forward to the birth of a new world. Therefore, we are not discouraged or depressed by all the world's problems. In summary, Jesus' advice to us would be not to panic, not to be disturbed, but even to rejoice and understand that these are all signs of something new happening. The second sign of his coming is not in the world, but in the church. The disasters in the world are the first sign. The church, not the world, is the second sign of his coming. The first warning is the disasters around the world, while the second sign is changes within the church. Just as he divided the first sign into three parts, wars, earthquakes, and famines, he also divides the second sign into three parts, all occurring within the church. The third sign is related to the growth of deception and apostasy within the church. We will see an increase in false teachers and false prophets who will deceive many, leading them away from the true faith. This will manifest in various ways, from deceptive doctrines to charismatic leaders who divert the focus from Christ. The fourth sign involves the persecution of Christians. Those who remain steadfast in the true faith will face increasing opposition and hostility. This may include discrimination, legal persecution, and even violence. However, those who persevere to the end will be saved. These four signs combined indicate the proximity of Christ's coming. By recognizing them, we must remain vigilant, strengthen our faith, and continue to live according to the teachings of Jesus, helping and comforting those in need, but always with the hope and expectation of the new world that is to come. The first sign is persecution. We will be hated by all nations. The second aspect of this sign is a significant reduction in the size of the church. The love of many people will grow cold, and under global tension, many nominal Christians, and even some true Christians, will fall away due to the burdens of universal persecution. This is a very depressing sign. The great surprise in the third part of the sign is that the gospel will be preached to all racial groups. The third part of the sign is that the gospel will be proclaimed to everyone. A smaller but purified church will have a greater impact on the planet. This is what Jesus is implying. False prophets can be a source of deception in all this. We are aware of the teachings of false prophets. When there is no peace, they preach peace. Instead of challenging, their message is comforting. They will say, "It's all right, this won't happen." Jesus' advice is to remain vigilant and not to yield to these false prophets. Whoever perseveres to the end will be saved. When all aspects of the church are despised by the world, this is Jesus' advice to all Christians. But why should it be this way? The answer is that the wheat and the tares grow together, and as they approach full maturity, the tension between them increases. Therefore, it is natural for Christians to be under a lot of pressure at the end of times. Christians are social misfits, so there will be hatred. The world does not belong to us. Our citizenship is in the heavenly realms. We are unique, and it is because of this uniqueness that hatred can arise. Just as Jesus, who was so different from everyone else, attracted hatred against himself, as John 15:19 says, "If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." It is not pleasant to be despised, but this leads us to the third sign of the end times, the anguish of Jerusalem. Geographically, it will be very limited, but its impact will be significant. We must understand that all these signs are interconnected and part of a greater plan. Our preparation and vigilance are essential. The third sign involves increasing anguish and turmoil in Jerusalem. The city, with its historical and spiritual importance, will become an epicenter of conflicts and tensions. This will be a clear indicator that the end times are approaching. Christians should observe these events carefully, recognizing that they are part of biblical prophecies. In summary, Jesus instructs us not to panic in the face of these signs, but to persevere with faith. We should rejoice, knowing that these painful events are the birth pains of a new world. As we face persecutions and witness dramatic changes, both in the world and within the church, our hope should remain firm in Christ's return and the fulfillment of his promises. In this passage, Jesus cites the prophecies of Daniel, which mention a figure known as the abomination of desolation. Daniel references this 3 times. But what does it really mean? What is the big problem? It refers to a human being, a man who will establish himself in the very city of God, proclaiming himself to be God and refusing to accept the authority of anyone else. This tyrant, whose arrival will have global ramifications, will be centered in Jerusalem, the city of God, the sacred place. Then, Jesus says that the 4th sign of his coming will occur immediately after this, and thus we will know that he is coming and be ready. When this sign appears, there will be no more danger of false prophets or false messiahs, nor will there be any deception, as it will be very quick and unmistakable. What will happen is that all natural light will be turned off, the sun will be darkened, the stars will fall. There are many visions of this throughout the Bible. Isaiah says that the heavens will be rolled up like a scroll. All the stars of the sky will be dissolved. The skies will be rolled up like a scroll, and all their stars will fall like withered leaves from the vine and like shriveled figs from the fig tree. With natural light gone, only artificial light will remain to illuminate the earth. What will be happening? People will ask, "Is this it?" Christians will exclaim, "The sun, stars, and moon will stop shining." Just before this happens, God will turn off the lights of the heavens to prepare for the brightness of the lightning that will mark his return. Then he will come on the clouds, back to planet Earth, and we will meet him. We will not meet in an earthly stadium, as there is none large enough to accommodate such a vast crowd. We will meet him in the air, and that will be enough. Isn't that a fantastic perspective? When you see all these things happening, know that he is at the doors, ready to enter. Jesus then makes a very simple statement about a fig tree, and this is where many Christians go astray. He says, "Learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its branches become tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near." Jesus is telling us that when we see all these events happening, we will know that the time is near. The analogy of the fig tree is not an allegory. It is a direct analogy based on everyday experiences, as Jesus often presented in his teachings. When you see the fig tree sprouting, you know that summer is coming. And so it will be when you notice these 4 signs. You will know that the time is near. Unfortunately, many people have interpreted this as an allegory. We have explored surprising signs together, but there is much more to discover. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next revelations. Share this knowledge, like and comment to help us expand our community. Join us in this ongoing journey of discoveries and mysteries. Until the next video, remember, prosperity with God is not just a distant dream, it is a promise waiting to be fulfilled. And with this channel, you are one step closer to making it a reality. Your success story begins today.